Hello everyone and welcome to the streets of Detroit for round 10 of a Grand Prix Legends series where we are getting set to bring you all of the racing action live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi all, I'm Samuel Ryman and alongside me in the booth is Sebastian Holmichael. Behind the scenes doing all of the button pushing is our director Robert O'Brien, and he is using cameras provided to us by Dougie Beard. Just 3 rounds remain in the season then, with the last 2 rounds being held at Barcelona and Road America, where the drivers will be able to let these engines sin. However, before that, they have quite a different challenge today. They've got to take on the tight and twisty confines of the street course here at Belle Isle.
Welcome to the Belle Isle Street Circuit. Situated in a beautiful park on Belle Isle itself, it rests in the Detroit River, sandwiched between the Motor City and Canada. With it being in the far north of the Midwestern United States, as you'd expect, harsh winters make this a bone-jarringly bumpy track. The 14 narrow corners only add up to a mere 2.3 miles in length, but it can tend to feel like a lot more just from the sheer stress of keeping your car out of the walls. Runoff is non-existent in a majority of corners, so mistakes tend to be punished with race-ending damage. The dangers include the tight and twisty fountain section with its rapid-fire set of bends, and the frightening turns 12 and 13, which end the lap with 2 swift kinks. However, the most notorious spot on the track is the exit of Turn 2, made famous by collecting the Corvette pace car into its hungry walls one year. The first 2 turns are a quick chicane, so the extreme change of direction, plus the rise in the track as it crosses over a creek, means grip and balance can disappear in an instant. While the setup of the car can sometimes help lessen the annoyance of the bumps a little, what this place all comes down to is driver skill and daring. Precision will pay off with the close proximity of the barriers. While it isn't a stroll in the park for drivers, fans get to enjoy the beauty of the scenery all while watching some of the most thrilling racing an American street course has to offer.
Well, street circuits certainly do pose interesting challenges for any racing driver. Let's take a closer look at this circuit, Sebastian.
Yes, of course. 14 turns, a bumpy road, 3.8 kilometers, and of course the 2 good passing zones in turn 3 and turn 7. But let's see, Samuel, if somebody gets very heroic in another turn.
Yeah, those are our recommended passing zones down in turn 3 at the end of the straight there, and turn 7 the end of the back straight, but you can certainly find other places to pass as well. Well, we have a few championships coming to a conclusion here. And we're starting with our Formula 1 driver standings, where it is very close at the top between Togo Hisada and Xavier Sanchez. Just 14 markers separating them, with 2 races left to go after this morning's race. Jorge Nieva kind of holding on to third, a nice little solid gap over Marco Sadrado there, but then things really get tight from 4th down to 7th. And then there's a little bit of a gap between Nel Kemp and Jason Clapper. John Olsen rounding out our top 10. Let's take a look at the F2 standings.
In the F2 standings, we have Steve Maurice in front, 21 points clear of Björn Ackermann. Jonathan Jordan on P3. So the podium is well together, also with P4 Kurt Klapper, which could be a contender in the end with the races we have left to go. Jan Stefan in P5, Derek Matthews in P6, Cam Porter in P7, and Andrew Eng in P8, also very close together with Thomas Tuba and Terry Trommeshauser.
And just 1 point separating third and fourth in standings there, so those podium positions could very much be shaken up. We also have our Cup of Nations going on. All of these drivers, of course, are racing from all over the world at the same time. That's kind of a beauty of iRacing, but it is Spain that has been performing the strongest throughout the season. 48 points over Japan, and actually these gaps are quite more significant than what we were seeing in the F1 and F2 driver standings, pretty much from first down to sixth there. Spain, Japan, US, UK, Australia and Singapore have 30-point gaps between each of them. Nice little battle for sixth, I suppose, between Singapore and Germany, and then 100 points back till you get to Norway. Well, that is an idea of everything else going on. Another look at the track here. We also have our race details coming up, Sebastian.
Yeah, it's round 10 of 12. We already said we have Road America left in the end. This is a totally different track than today. Today we have 23 laps. We have open setup so everyone can try out the hardest to be the fastest. No spare car, of course. Drive-through penalty at 17 inches, disqualification at 25. So we are going the official route.
Yeah, and it's nice to see how official they take these kind of races. This is a 36-car single split, by the way, so there's going to be quite a significant gap in lap times between the drivers at the front. Kyle Ridley here, you see he's got the number 2, so the second highest I rating in the field, but not from doing stuff like that, unfortunately, although I think he kept it off the wall. Now we ride on board the Nacho Gasper. Anyone want to guess at his I rating? It is 6,720, 6,720. So a very high I rating for the Spanish racing driver here, or Iberian, he might be Portuguese, someone might want to correct me on that. But I've also been taking a bit of a look at the weather here, Sebastian. These drivers are going to have their work cut out for them. A high track temperature, but also a very strong easterly wind.
The wind can be a decider in some corners if it really pushes you deep into the corner. The cars always are working very hard on the bumps, of course, and these are the classic cars. I use the word heroic, and that's the best word to describe these cars in iRacing, in my opinion.
Yeah, you really do have to be right on edge, and some of our drivers here have really neat setups, a nice little backdrop there. It almost looks like a photo. Look how focused he is. Maybe it is a photo, maybe his webcam has stopped working, but it's barely moving.
But he's still on track, so good for him. And also with 4 minutes left, I think we are up for some pretty intense action later on. You said it, it's so many cars on track. It's, there are experts here driving these cars who are like, you don't find a split all over the day in the officials, but here are now the guys driving who love the car.
Now, every driver in qualifying here has 2 laps to set their best time. You can see a lot of drivers have already set their first time. A reminder that if you get an incident point in qualifying in iRacing, your lap time will not count, and it's very easy to pick up a 0x incident point here from grazing any of these walls. In many cars, you actually want to graze the walls in race conditions. It actually, you know, in race conditions, you can get away with it, and sometimes the cars can take it. Not always the case in these open-wheel cars, but that's a very easy way to get your lap discounted in qualifying. All right, so most of the field coming over the line right now for their second lap. We've been riding on board with Cam Porter here, and right now it is Nacho Gasper at the top by 0.2 of a second. Xavier Sanchez just jumped up to 4th place. Again, these are all open setups. So some of the gap that you're seeing between the drivers at the front and the drivers at the back could be down to the common drivers of these cars have been setups dialed in. By the end of the day, when it's a street course, it really does come down to the driver a lot, Sebastian.
Yeah, right. If you're specialized on this car, I would like to draw the line to the Skip Barber, because if you know the car very well and you're an expert on this, you do different stuff on the setup than a rookie would do. So yeah, that could also be a point where somebody gets more out of this car with his personal special setup.
And we picked up Kyle Ridley here because the number 2 car has yet to turn the lap. We caught him for a brief moment in practice, didn't we, having a spin? Or actually was that early in qualifying? Well, either way, he is on his second lap here and really letting the back end kick out, but that's how you have to drive your car. And unfortunately for him, this has to be a bit of a banker lap. When you've already had one qualifying lap that hasn't counted, you might not be able to push it 100% like you want to. And this lap looks a little scrappy. He might just be needing to get a lap on the board just so he doesn't start all the way back in 25th, which is where he would start right now. But he's crossed the line. He's got the time in... No? Did he hit the wall that lap as well? So Kyle Ridley will be starting from the back.
There should be a wall scratcher. Maybe we also saw it on stream at turn 3-4, somewhere there around. And what I'm wondering is the championship leader of F1, is he here in this session? Because I'm not... I think he's not, yeah.
Yeah, no, he is not. So that certainly opens the championship up for changes. I think that's all of the qualifying times that are done here. So we've got a large grid to go through. Let's start going through it. We're starting with Nacho Gasper on pole position by 0.2 of a second over Ove Trandre. Jorge Nieva will be starting third alongside D'Amico Lieno. Seb Tixier will start from 5th position ahead of Benjamin Soko, and then we've got David Rossi and Xavier Sanchez on row number 4. Row number 5 has Bill Tyler and Neil Kemp, and all 10 of those drivers are within a second of pole.
Yeah, and in row 6 we have Lost Olsen, Steve Morris together, P13 John Olsen and Glenn Becker on 14th place, Gary Ho on 15th, Gary Quellin on 16th, Marco Salgado on 17th place in row 9 together with Robert Plumley in 18th, Michael Griesinger on 19th and Cam Porter on the 20th place. Sorry.
Yeah, 21st position, we have Terry Trommerhauser, Jonathan Jordan, 22nd, ahead of Aishan Jin and Jean Stefan. Andre Juto is the last of our 25 drivers to set a time. We've got the field gridding up here, so we'll go through the last bit quickly, because none of these drivers set a time. They are Kyle Ridley, Jack David Spickett, Jason Clapper, Janne Lehman, and Kurt Clapper. A reminder that these are all gridded up based on iRating at this point. Shady Ahmed, Karl Hansen, Derek Matthews, Bjorn Ackerman, Max Linden, and Richard Covington will be starting from 36th and last place on the grid. While the cars are getting gridded up, they've got 2 minutes to get into their stalls if they want to start from the track. Some of them are allowed to start from the pits if they'd like to, but they've got another 45 seconds to get gridded up here.
And the wind is changing slightly. We still have the eastern wind, of course, high temperature, partly cloudy, but the track will be hot, as will be the action.
Drivers wishing each other good luck. Our pole sitters in that burgundy car on the right-hand side of your screen. Nacho Gasper, Ove Trandre in the more orangey car on the inside. However, that's not the racing line, so he might not have the grip that's on that right-hand side of the grid. We've got 10 seconds left for drivers to grid up. Again, don't anticipate everyone starting from the field, simply due to how large this field is. But we've hit 2 minutes, so gridding time is over, and we are about to go racing. The green flag getting set to drop. The lights are on. The lights are off, and away they go. And here we go for 23 laps, and already a nice start by our pole sitter, and he's covering off that inside. They're blocking off for the challengers behind him.
You look at this field going through turn 1, turn 2. Now the first opportunity to gain positions here in the hard braking zone into turn 3. And look how the field is swerving and trying to find their place.
Yeah, so a couple of changes. Third has gone up to second. Fifth has gone up to fourth. Everyone behaving themselves as they need to. Checking back further in the field. It looks like most of the field here has had a rather clean start. But now we're coming up to the second best passing opportunity once they get down the back straight. Oh, I do see a little bit of contact further back, but everyone's still pointing the right way.
And look how bumpy the road is there. Some cars are nearly jumping up and down. And there are we going into another too wide situation. And
Oh,
there's a
spinner!
crash. Where is he?
Well, that's the number 21 car of... Oh, and we got a big
Oh.
crash coming into the hairpin as well. But it's the 21 of Steve Morris who's gone around. And who's that joining him? That's Michael Grissinger in the 24. Michael Grissinger had contact earlier on in the lap with the number 2 car. Remember, we saw the number 2 having that slow, not being able to set a qualifying time, and he was trying to come through the field and make contact with the 24. So we have had some contact going on back in the field, and it came to a head at the end of a back straight. Oh, Bill Tyler got a little piece of that too, just way too late in the brakes there. Oh. Bill Tyler, he was clipped from behind from a car that was late on the brakes. He was another one, I think, that have been unable to set a qualifying time, Sebastian, and that's a risky run when that happens.
Yeah, that was the end for Bill Tyler, but of course, being late on the brakes, he tried to not hit the cars in front, but it was too much. Maybe also for the iRacing prediction code.
A mistake from Jorge Nieva here. He's been passed by the number 29 of Seb Pixier. It's impressive to see Seb in the number 29 car. That means his iRating's a little on the lower end. It's 1800. That's not horrible, honestly. But when you're racing out there with 5,000s and 6,000s, it's going to get the number 29 on your car. But here we see him. He's doing a good job up in third.
Yeah, third place is always good. Getting the podium, getting this champagne later on. And we are already, no, not already. We are just in lap 2, so there's so much ground to cover here now for these cars to be content, to be calm and watch the mirrors, but not too much.
Yeah, I'm looking at the back of the field trying to figure out how many cars we've still got left. I think we've got about 32 or so a couple of drivers. Yeah, a few drivers falling by the wayside there on the opening lap. Bill Tyler, obviously. It looks like Andre Juto as well in the 36 car. Didn't catch what happened to him. And Michael Grissinger was one of the ones involved at the end. Maurice, who we saw spinning at the end of the back straight, he has gotten going again. But once you get back around 25th position or so, there are a few drivers with beat up noses but still going around. And see, occasionally you will see drivers kick up dust when they get close to the wall. It doesn't necessarily mean they're hitting the wall. Sometimes, honestly, it might be a little bit of net code on our end where they haven't actually hit the wall, but it looks like they do from the broadcast angle. Cam Porter involved in some battles here. He's one of our drivers carrying a camera where we can see him in action as well, and you can see with that manual shifter he's got a lot of work going on and full focus right now on a bit of tyre smoke, and that's always a bit of a problem, Sebastian, when you see tyre smoke going into a turn. Never know what's on the other side of it.
Yeah, that's true, and also there's much work to do in this sector, especially in the open wheeler. The curbs are very, very high. I think he will have prepared his suspension for that tonight.
So up front already with nearly a 3-second lead is Nacho Gaspar, our pole sitter. He led away from the drop of the green, and there is a nice battle for second actually shaping up. The 6 of Ove Trantre, who started second, being pressured from Seb behind. Looks like there's a pass going on for fourth behind them too. Jorge Nieva and Mikko Laino are running side by side, but Mikko was 5th, he's still 5th, but he's trying to get ahead of Jorge, but he's got to be careful because, oh, and he gets into the back of him. That's not being careful, that's going to put a black mark on the nose of that Ferrari.
Yes, true, but he lifted to not make him spin front. It's very nice racing which we are seeing. It's super close, and mistakes can always happen, of course, but look at this car and this track, and that's the spirit of iRacing, that we can still, even virtually, drive those cars around these tracks.
So up front, not a whole lot going on with Nacho checking out, but we've got this great battle for second between Ove Trantre and Seb Tixier, and we got that battle from fourth on back, where it does look like, I'm not saying the drivers are getting impatient, but they certainly are behaving as if they want to get by the cars in front. 23 laps is not a long race here. We're already on lap number 4.
Yeah, already 2 laps down again, as I last talked about it. But in the end, if you are battling for every corner, of course, it will slow you down. And then you have the next 2 cars behind you, which are closing in. And then you have a 4-car battle. So I think they are very smart at the front right now and look for their opportunities. But in the back, it could be more Wild West now.
Yeah, in the back we've certainly had some casualties, and we're riding on board. Oh, we got trouble. Seb Tixier, the number 29, he's crashed out. Talking about how well he was doing, well, he certainly had pace. I guess he didn't have control. He was trying to get second place. Our replay brings us back up to turn 2 here, but the action will happen in a couple of turns' time. Let's see if he was trying to pass for second or if this was a single car incident.
It doesn't look like. Tried to. And yeah.
Yeah, it's coming out of this right-hander here, so it's going to be... Oh, no, it's so what you saw there, him getting on the grass, he never really regained control.
These cars are super, super tricky. So this was the end, but it wasn't unsmart how he drove, or it wasn't... Yeah, he didn't overstep the car too much, but just one little step is in the Lotus, yeah, sometimes, yeah, too much.
Yeah, and obviously he's out of a race from that. Well, that does mean Ove Trantre has second place locked down for now. He's got a bit of a gap over the battle for third, but it is a battle for third. We keep seeing Mikko Laino stick his nose out. He's already gotten a big scar on the front of it, but he really wants to get that P number 3 from Jorge Nieva, but Jorge's not doing anything wrong yet, and he's holding on to that position.
And I wonder if the cars who have crashed will resume the race with their fast repair, but of course we have seen the standings in the Nations Cup, and maybe some points can make a difference.
I don't think these drivers get fast repair though, no, so yeah, one and done unfortunately, especially when we see a big impact like that for Seb. Catching back up with Glenn Becker here in the number 20, riding just outside the top 10.
Virtual reality, this must look awesome when you're driving this. I think, in my personal opinion, driving in VR in open wheelers is the best thing ever in iRacing. You feel like the real deal with VR. And I hope he has a fun time right now, chasing for another place.
Yeah, on the personal note, I've gone into triple monitors in 2023, and one thing I've done is I've turned my virtual iRacing mirror off, which is kind of a little treat that iRacers will know about. Not a treat, it's actually quite handy. But the downside I found to just driving this car on my own in a test session is that the mirrors are quite low set. And they're actually at the bottom of my monitor, that the mirrors on the car. So I think it's kind of nice. It must be really nice in this virtual reality where you can move your head up and down, look at the mirrors. It probably actually is a nice little benefit in this car.
And also it looks great on camera, as we see here.
Yeah, we're coming back up to this battle for third because the pressure is still on. And taking a look at the lap times, these two are able to run the same times as Ove Trantre. He was only about a second ahead of him. So I said Ove was safe there in second place. Not necessarily. If he slips up and loses a couple of tenths, this battle for third will be with him.
Oh, there's a car stopped,
Yeah, I saw some tyre smoke. Gary Quellen, he'd been running in the top 20. He was actually running in 15th at the completion of a previous lap. I saw some tyre smoke at the end of the back straight, so I'm guessing this is what that came from. And there's a number 2 car in front of him. We talked about the number 2 of Carl Ridley starting toward the back. I think he started in 26th and was involved in a bit of contact with the 24 on the opening lap. Was he involved here at all? No, looks like Gabby was way offline, probably racing defensively and then just took the turn too wide.
Yeah, unfortunate. I think that's the case here.
Yeah, let's since I have a feeling Mikko's not gonna, well, let's see how this goes down the back straight. No, he's not gonna make a move here. Let's head back to 14th place, Kyle Ridley, and have a look at that number 2 car, because when I was watching the middle of the field on the opening lap, seeing if there was going to be any opening lap carnage, I did see a bit of contact between himself and the 24. The 24 later retired in the opening lap, Michael Grissinger. But Kyle Ridley in the number 2 was able to continue. He started 26, he's up to 14th. That's definitely not where he wants to be right now. But his car, even though it was involved in a little bit of contact, I think, on the opening lap, it's still looking clean. So it will be interesting to see how much further he can advance through the remaining laps.
If he is such a good driver, he may take some more places, but as you see the gaps are quite moderate, I would say. The closest thing is the battle for P3 and the battle for P8. So there's some ground to cover there to get into more pointy places, I would say.
Jack David Spickett here. I race against him in the Classic Team Championship, the Lotus 79 series, which we'll be able to see Sunday tomorrow morning. It will be a couple hours earlier than normal, just to give you all a heads up for that. That we'll be racing at Alton Park. Don't normally get to race with Jack David Spickett though. He's normally racing up the front, and I'm not there normally.
But I think the drivers have now come into a groove on Belle Isle. They found all the spots they need to drive careful and not overdrive the car. I'm just saying that now we have a big smoke coming up from the locking of the tires. But in the end, everyone is now pushing all out, driving the car safe but fast around the track.
Well, someone who's not safe anymore is our P2 driver, Ove Trantere, and we picked it up here. We talked about how he only had a second over the battle for third. Well, that second is gone. This is now a three-way battle for P2 between Ove Trantere, Jorge Nieva, and Mikko Leno.
Yeah, that's true. And that's what we want to see. A race to the finish for the victory. Super tight, super close. One mistake of the car in front, if he's getting nervous, could be the end for all three of them. But that's the thing we want to see here with the Grand Prix legends, I would say.
Well, the last couple of laps, we've seen Gary Quaylen and Jack David Spickett go defensive down the back straight and almost wrecked because of it. We're picking Jack David Spickett back up here. I'm keeping half an eye on the battle for second, though there hasn't been any change down the back straight. Riding on board the number 11, looking at the rear suspension of this iRacing vehicle go to work.
It looks fantastic. And I think that's the best track to show that to the viewer, how the suspension is working.
Not even at the halfway point, so lots of action still to come. Some of these drivers might be fighting for a top 10 later on, who knows? But obviously these drivers right now fighting for the podium positions Ove wasn't really challenged down the back straight last lap, and this lap he actually opens up a bit of a gap. This will give him a bit of a breathing room going into turn 3. I wonder if this is going to make Miko more impatient. He's been trying to get by Jorge all race long. Now he might be thinking, man, if I could get third, I'm sure I could do a better job at passing Ove. I could get second as well.
Yeah, or maybe the victory also, because there's also another thing coming up that could be backmarker traffic right in front of P1 now on the back straight. Could be a factor later on. And if you time your overtake there very smartly, you can maybe have an advantage.
Yeah, and so about a dozen drivers have fallen by the wayside. The first car to go a lap down on pace has been the number 28 of Jan Steven. So Nacho Gasper's already put him a lap down. You see Richard Covington, who must have had early drama. Oh, and that's the number 2. Oh, he's got to be careful here that he doesn't pull into the path of oncoming traffic. Kyle Ridley, he takes the exit of the turn. Oh, and he does get collected there. Massive incident for him.
I hope he isn't driving in VR.
Oh, and there's trouble. Going back live, Benjamin Zoko from P5 has just hit a lap car.
Oh no, I jinxed it.
And his suspension is damaged, and so now there's all different kinds of cars trying to get by Benjamin Zoko down the back straight here. Oh, maybe his suspension isn't damaged. He's going to try and hold on ahead of Xavier Sanchez. Now, Xavier, remember, he's in that points battle. This is a big points day for him. With our championship leader being out, so he can't be too risky about making a move by Benjamin here.
That's true. We have seen what can happen if you just stretch the walls wrongly and then get collected.
Yeah, here's what happened with Benjamin Zoko. It was a lapped car, and it was coming down into turn 1. So this lap car, okay, yeah, the 32 gets back on the racing line here. This is all perfectly fine. I'm guessing it's not the 32. Yeah, he gets by him. And then I think it's that 35. I think it's the 35 car. Just slows down really early, catches Zoko by surprise. Zoko's already committed to the racing line. Doesn't move to pass him and contact.
Yeah.
But, surprisingly, Zoko doesn't seem to be that badly damaged. He has gotten back up to speed and is still in 5th position.
Yeah, that's good for him, because it was a very, also unfortunate incident. And here we have
third,
the duel on the brake.
Yeah, he's been trying to do that all race and didn't quite work out for him. How much? Oh, there's a whole train of cars here. Miko finally gets going again in 9th. He was fighting for 3rd, and now he's down to 9th.
But he found a spot to rejoin the race, so that's... If something bad like that happens, it's always good, you know, the blood pressure is running high to not crash into ongoing traffic. So he did that, he managed that, and I would say with his pace he can get at least 2 or 3 places back.
So this is now a train from 4th to 9th place, being led by the damaged number 7 car Benjamin Zoko, ahead of Xavier Sanchez, who's got that points battle to worry about. David Rossi is running in 6th position ahead of Laust Olsen and John Olsen. And then we got Mikko Leno, who has just dropped to 9th place. Rounding out the top 10 is Neil Kemp. However, they have a little bit of a gap over Neil, but not much. That's not a gap, but it's a new fast lap.
It's a super nice train we are having here, and also with the Battle of the Olsen right in the middle of that. Super nice now to have the cars so packed together and have more racing with, we are at a halfway point, way over it, so it gets soon in the final stage of this race. More lap cars, I would, I must say.
Yeah, I wonder if this trolley train, if you will, is going to continue to build with Benjamin Zoko racing with that damage out there. He's still putting competitive lap times down, though, of 1:30.8. Jorge Nieve in third place also ran that last lap. However, it's kind of difficult to read into lap times at this point of the race as these drivers are fighting their way through lap traffic.
Also, the battle for P2 is, coming to a halt with 1.5 roundish seconds between the cars. And this train is, of course, magnificent right now.
I was about to say the last car on the lead lap is now Shady Ahmed in 21st, but unfortunately for Shady, he's just came into the pits. A lot of damage on the front end of his number 27. So something happened there. That leaves us with 20 cars on the lead lap, and there's a pass competition here.
We're on P6, I guess.
Yeah, so Lars Olsen ahead of John Olsen, and this, Mikko trying to make his way through. I think something happened to David Rossi. Yeah, because he's dropped back to 9th now, but here he was running 6th, so it looks like something might have happened to Rossi coming out of the final corner. We'll pick it up on replay here.
You could say so.
Yeah, that's not that lag I was talking about earlier. That is hitting the wall.
But it seems he did it with both wheels nearly at the same time into the wall, scratching off some paint from the concrete, but that's it. Or leaving his tire marks. Paint from the concrete, of course, isn't the issue. But at least he can continue.
Keeping a tiny eye on that battle for second place. I mean, it's not really a battle with 2 seconds between them right now, but all it would stake is a mistake from Ove for Jorge Nieve to catch him. This is really where the battle was for 4th and 5th position. Benjamin Zoko and Xavier Sanchez have broken away in their own private battle ahead of 6th, 7th, 8th and 9th behind them. So these two will probably scrap for 4th place here in the closing laps.
Yeah, there was also not an issue with the wall scraper. These two are just pretty much faster than the guys behind, so the train got broken up a little bit. But the 4 guys behind are also fighting now to get the good positions, the good points, and statistically maybe even a P5 finish if something happens in front.
Looks like we've still got 18 cars running competitively. We've got 20 cars left on the lead lap, but Jonathan Jordan and Kurt Clapper are a little ways back of the main field, so I'm wondering if something has impeded them throughout the race, but they're still going, still on the lead laps. Good on them. Cam Porter, who we've had our onboards with, he's running 17th. Looks like he'll finish on the lead lap ahead of Terry Tromichauser back there in 18th place. That's this battle we've picked up on screen right now, so those two might end up battling in the closing laps. Really, just to finish on the lead lap, or even just to finish this race, is going to be an achievement, Sebastian, just due to the nature of how many cars there have been here today.
Yeah, very many cars, of course. The track is super tricky, super narrow. We have seen one mistake can be your end. And yeah, total difference to the races coming up with Barcelona and Road America. So this race is an eliminator. And maybe the championship leader wasn't here today because of this. I don't know if drop weeks are counted. Please file me in. Yeah, so yeah, drop weeks are counted, I hear, so yeah. Yeah, so maybe this is a point in this.
Well, you got to imagine that Xavier Sanchez would really love to get 4th place, especially when he sees a wounded car in front of him. Still about 7 laps left to go here, but understandably we're keeping an eye a little bit further back on this battle for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. And now 10th and 11th have caught them as well. Neil Camp and Glenn Becker and Gary Ho. We haven't really mentioned him too far behind. He's back there and not far off as well. Oh, we got Ove Trandre. Oh dear. Second place. He was running all on his own. He's in the pits with an incident has obviously happened here. So this is going to bump everyone up at 1. That's big news for Xavier Sanchez, obviously, in the championship. He might be able to get a podium out of this. It looks like he just overshot that final turn and slammed into the wall. We're going to get a better angle of it for you. Just running on his own, he had 2.5 seconds over his challengers behind him. But I think he just overshot his braking marker and went straight into the wall on exit.
Yeah, super sad for him. Oh, it's a big crash.
Yeah, he overshot that by a mile.
Yeah.
So Jorge Nieva goes up to second, and the battle between Zoko and Sanchez is now for 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like, if something happens in the front, you gain positions, and yeah, fight maybe for a podium. And this is of course, this was super sad to lose P2 in that way. But for the others, it's a sweet deal, I would say.
They're coming with 5 laps left to go. Nacho Gaspar has a pretty significant lead over Jorge Nieva, who I think actually just got in the wall, but it looks like he'll get away with that one. Just a paint scraper from 2nd position. We have this battle for 3rd and 4th between Benjamin Zoko and Xavier Sanchez. Behind them, we've got a bit of a string of cars from 5th on back to 11th or so, with Mikko Lieno, Laust Olsen, John Olsen, David Rossi. Rossi is slow out of the final turn again. Not the first time we've seen that, and he just loses. 8th position to Neil Camp. He loses. 9th position to Glenn Becker, and he'll set in 10th place with Gary Ho still behind him in 11th.
Again, maybe the same mistake, but just costing him again places and not all of the race. With 5 laps to go, at least he's still in the top 10.
Yeah, and then you see our P12 car in the background there, Marco Salgado kind of just hanging on. Marco's got a nice gap of about 10 seconds before you get to the P13 driver of Jack David's Cricket. And this battle for 3rd is really heating up. That's a nice exit down the back straight here for Xavier Sanchez. What will happen into the turn 7 right hand at the end of the back straight? We've seen a lot of drama here already today.
Yeah, this is getting muy caliente right now with the Iberian driver, Xavier Sanchez, and super close to the wall with the tire.
The apex that left hand better, but unfortunately not really many passing opportunities here. 5 laps left to go, and this battle for 3rd is really heating up, and Mikko Lieno, he has done really well. Remember, he was fighting for 2nd. Well, what is 2nd now? Earlier on, dropped all the way back to 9th. He might still be able to get a podium out of this.
Yeah, right. You're absolutely right. And let's see what these guys are doing with now 4 laps to go. I think Sanchez will make his move maybe more than one time trying to get by. And he will commit at some time to 100% and will do it. Either it works out or not.
Fastest lap of a race for Mikko there, back in 5th, so that damage to the nose of his Ferrari painted Lotus. I keep calling it a Ferrari, it still has the Lotus 49 build going on, but a Ferrari livery obviously. Running there in 5th place, quickest car on the track, where he's not going to be going quickly very now, being held up by this battle for 3rd. And now Xavier Sanchez has got to be a little bit more careful before he makes a move, because he knows that Mikko will want to get back by.
Yeah, you're right. It really looks like he's getting hauled off by the battle of the cars in front, and maybe he can sneak by both of them. But it will be a tough game. It will be very risky with these cars. I don't know how the tires are now working after 20 laps running on Belle Isle.
There'll be a little bit more lap traffic to deal with as well. However, Jonathan Jordan in 19th place is about to go a lap down. So give a shout out to Aziz Sky single file temporarily. To the drivers running 12th to 19th, we haven't really mentioned Marco Sagado, Jack David Sprickett, Hane Lehman, Jason Clapper, Cam Porter, Terry Trommenhauser, Kurt Clapper and Jonathan Jordan currently rounding out the top 19. But now, and the lead lap cars, but now we need to go back to the battle for third because Miko is making his move into turn 3. Can't quite pull it off.
Yeah, the entry on the inside didn't give him enough speed to make the overtake go. But as you have seen how late Xavier braked there, how the car went down and he hit the wall, and that could be clean air for the car in front.
Oh, he hit the wall on the X on the back straight there. He avoided the wall the first time. It was just a big slide, but he hit the wall on the back straight. That cost him straight line speed, and Miko got by for 4th.
Yeah, so P3 is now a little bit more safe in front of Miko. So let's see if he can, Soko can hold on to P3. But already the gap is opening up between P4 and P5, a little bit at least.
Right, well, these drivers are about to get the 2 lap to go signal, which our race leader, Nacho Gaspar, has just got. And obviously, I think the chase here is going to be Miko Leno, the quickest driver on the track right now, trying to run down Benjamin Zoko and pass him in the last 2 laps. I think he'll run him down, and I have a feeling on the final lap we are going to see a great scrap for 3rd position. And what a comeback it will be if Miko is able to pull this off, because 3rd was basically what he was fighting for before he had that off earlier.
So sometimes it pays off to be consistent, to make getting the lap times in, to be again in contention, and also of course luck comes into it when another competitor overshoots the mark and crashes out to get the podium. But on the other hand, it was very, very good driving to get in this position, to get at this stage of the race.
Kurt Clapper's just gone a lap down, so that leaves 17 cars on the lead lap. Keeping an eye on the battle for 10th as well between David Rossi and Gary Ho. That will be a position up for grabs on the final lap, which is about to start right now as Nacho Gaspar crosses the line. He has been dominant today. He's just got to hold on for one more lap. A little bit of lap traffic as he resets the fastest lap of the race. But these are all lap cars who have already fallen by the wayside. They're not fighting for 17th or 18th or anything like that. So hopefully they should just move aside from them.
I think there are no wet hands from Gaspar, seeing the lap traffic with the gap he has. He can, lose some split seconds to maintain his victory and not go too risky, but risky they will go to get the thing done. Also here the battle for P10.
Yeah, and this battle for P10 and 11 is not too far on track behind the battle for 3rd. So what we really need to do right here, I think, is pick them both up at the end of a back straight. So let's jump back up to the battle for 3rd, where Benjamin Zoko is holding on by Miko. This is really Miko's best last passing opportunity. The end of a back straight on the final lap. He is trying to get the slipstream, but Zoko is going defensive and they'll remain single file for now. Then we can jump back and see what happens maybe in this battle for 10th. At the same time though, we got to go to the leader because he's making his way through the final turn now. Nacho Gaspar has been dominant here today, and he is going to pick up a well-deserved victory here on the streets of Detroit. Not too far behind him, Jorge Nieva will pick up 2nd place, but who is going to get 3rd?
And very much looks like Soko, because the draft won't be enough to get back onto the podium. So also well-deserved P3 there with the battles which did ensue in the last couple of laps.
And we're watching the rest of the top 10 come across the line here with David Rossi just ahead of Gary Ho for 11th, for 10th and 11th. Marco Salgado has gotten 12th place. Oh, a battle for 13th. Here we go. Nice run. He's going to get him.
Side by side over the line. Photo finish.
I think Jack held on to it, actually. Yes, he did by 400ths of a second.
But brilliant stuff also in the back. These people love to race the Lotus, and we have seen that today, I would say.
Jason Clapper will get 15th. Cam Porter, by the way, Jason Clapper finishing without a nose. Cam Porter, who gave us a few cool onboard shots throughout the race, he'll get 16th. And Terry Trommershauser will come across the line, being the last car on the lead lap for 17th. Well, we will give you a full race rundown and drive interviews in just a few moments here on the GSRC. Don't go away. Hello and welcome back to the streets of Detroit, where we just witnessed round number 10 of the championship here, with Nacho Gasper taking a very dominant victory over Jorge Nieva in second place. Benjamin Zocco just holding on for third ahead of a train of cars, being led by Miko Lino in fourth place. Zabia Sanchez rounding out your top five. Laust Olsen and John Olsen were nose to tail a lot of the race. They finished 6th and 7th ahead of Neil Kemp. Glenn Becker in 9th place, and David Rossi just hung on for top 10.
Yeah, behind the top 10, Gary Ho in 11th, Marco Salgado in 12th, 13th place, Jack David Spickett, 14th place, Janne Lehmann, 15th place, Jason Clapper, 16th place, Cam Porter, 17th place, Terry Trommershauser, 18th, Kurt Klapper, 19th, Jonathan Jordan, 20th, Mats Linden.
John Stefan in 21st, really the last competitive car here. Now you run into the drivers who ran into trouble today, including Derek Matthews and Steve Maurice, who spun on the first lap. Ove Trantre, who crashed out while running up front in second position. He drops to 24th. Richard Covington down there in 25th ahead of Isan Gin and Shady Ahmed. Kyle Ridley started at the back, worked his way up into the midfield, and then had an incident in the middle of the race. Bjorn Ackerman in 29th ahead of Kaj Hansen. And then we go to the last page here of Bill Tyler, Gary Quaylen, we saw crash at the end of a back straight, Andre Druto, Seb Tixier, who was doing marvellous throughout the first half of the race, but then had that big mistake. Robert Plumley in 35th, and Michael Grissinger, who was involved in contact on the opening lap. Well, we are going to start our driver interviews here with Jorge Nieva, who finished in second position. Jorge, you didn't have a lot of drivers around you at the end, but throughout most of the middle of the race, there was a lot of pressure from you from behind.
Yeah, it was a hard race for me because, well, first of all, I'd like to apologize for my bad English, but I hope it's enough to understand. The end of the race was very, very quiet for me, but at the beginning I didn't have the pace to compete with Ove and Miko, but I tried to follow them and keep Miko behind, and well, I got lucky, I suppose.
How difficult was it, though, throughout the race, even when you're on your own, just to keep control of a car? Because these cars like to dance and the walls are never that far away.
Yeah, it's a very, very difficult track with this car, but I didn't even use a special setup. I used my old track setup with a new gear ratio for this track, and it was very bouncy, but I already control this setup, so I need to use it everywhere because I'm a slow learner, so I can't adapt to a new setup every week.
Well, we got 2 races left to go in the season. How are you feeling about Barcelona and Road America?
I don't think I have any chance to win the championship, but I hope I can at least keep my third, because that's the most I can imagine. Togo and Heikki and Xavier are really, really fast, and usually much faster than me, so I don't have any expectation for those 2 races.
Well, it's still a great points day for you today. The finish second place, so congratulations, and we'll let you go celebrate your podium.
Thank you very much.
That was our second place finisher, and now I'm going to hand it over to Sebastian, who was caught up with Ben Zoko.
Yeah, Ben, what a drive in the end. The car so close behind you. And yeah, you fought them off, you hold your line into turn 7 to make no passing opportunity for Miko. How does it feel to be on the podium after a turbulent race?
Yeah, it feels really good. It's been a while since I've had a podium. Belle Isle always does me well. I think I won here last time we were here. But the competition's tough and I didn't have much practice. So I wasn't expecting anything, and when you go into Belle Isle, you've got to expect to be taken out, or which almost happened to me. You've got to expect some crashes and stuff like that. When I saw Miko and was it Jorge up in front of me, and I was kind of keeping pace with them, I expected, like, I know Jorge, at least he's a tough competitor, doesn't make mistakes, so it was going to be hard for pass, but it looks like Miko had some pace. So I thought, okay, well, there's a chance that I could get a podium here because the drivers that are up ahead are battling close together, and if anything happens, it's gonna happen, you know. So yeah. It was good to maybe even have a bit of a gap to them, so that if they did come together, I could, not crash into their crash. But everyone fell off in front of me, as the race went by. So I found myself in third, and then I saw, the people recovering behind me, knowing they were faster than me. So I kind of I kind of backed off a bit. Like I was still pushing really hard, but I wasn't like pushing for the fastest laps in the spots that I knew I needed to push to get the quick laps. So towards the end of the race there, it was more like just don't go too deep on the brakes in any corners, because that's usually where I stuff up. So don't try not to feel the pressure. I had to defend once when I made some mistakes. And then on the last lap there, I just kind of slowed it up a little bit cheeky, slowing it up on the apex there, knowing that Miko was a fair bit quicker than me. So I just made it so that he didn't have a chance to even, get be in the position to make a move, so that I could hold on to a podium. The first of the season, and good, really fun. I love coming here in this car and this track. Sweaty, nervous, or shaking after the race. This is what we do it for.
Yeah, of course. I said in the beginning and also in the stream, like, it's a very heroic car where people have to commit themselves, where you guys are very specialists on the Lotus, and we could see that in the stream. And as you said, you drove the last couple of laps with one eye in the mirror, focusing on defending also, but now with two eyes into the future with Road America and Barcelona, this will be a total different ballpark, I would say, with all the long drafty sections. So what are your expectations for these tracks? If you love Detroit, what are your feelings on Road America?
Road America is another track I've had a win at in this championship. Or a slightly different one, broadcast by you guys, and I love that track as well. So, not that I'm as competitive. Well, there's my accident on replay there.
I just saw that. Yeah.
that was tricky because he was trying to let me by, but I was trying to. I was pushing for quick laps. Oh, lucky Nutco didn't take out my wheels there.
Quick question here, Ben. How much did that damage you?
It didn't seem to do anything, so really lucky. I didn't notice any difference. But yeah, Road America, I love racing this car at that track, so I'll hopefully be able to make that race, and there'll be some good racing and good overtakes for the broadcasts at that track. And Barcelona, it's not great for overtaking, but it does provide close races, so that'll be another exciting one. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the next two races.
Yeah, that's also what I was thinking and telling the audience on the stream, like, it's so special in iRacing that you can drive a simulation of this car on a track like Belle Isle, which, historically didn't happen. So on the other hand, you have like Barcelona and Road America with this car, and it's I think you guys have great fun with exploring the Lotus on these racetracks here in iRacing.
Yeah, I think Yuri does the rotation really well, so we don't just keep going to the same tracks, but we do keep going to the iconic tracks regularly, but we mix it up all the time, and I'm obviously really happy to have Belle Isle, Barcelona and Road America all in a row, all on this season's schedule.
Yeah, so end your season on a high, I would say, and congratulations for your podium.
Yeah, thanks, mate. I don't expect too much in the next two races, but you never know in this series. So just turn up and have fun.
And that's always what matters in the end, I would say.
Exactly. So if anyone's thinking about joining the racing, just come on in. I know that there's like 40 cars and it's some tricky tracks, but you can see we all mostly made it through cleanly. And at the end of the day, it's just a game. It's to have fun. So get in there and have fun.
Thank you, Ben.
Alright, that was Ben Zoko, our third place finisher today. We got two more drivers to talk to, starting with Lars Olsen, who finished 6th, and Lars, you started 13th, so nice little, 11th, so nice little drive through the field there.
Yeah, most of it was other people getting into trouble, so, but I'll take it anyway. I did for this track a good race, kept out of the walls, and didn't have a single incident, so I'm quite satisfied with that. And the finishing position is just a bonus.
Now, we saw you were kind of in the middle of a train of about 7 cars or so throughout most of the race. How much of a time were you just riding, or how much were you trying to pass the car in front of you or defend from the car behind you?
In the beginning, I was able to keep up with Xavier, but then I had a few bad laps, losing a couple of seconds and lost connection. And so most of the time, I was just trying to not make mistakes and keep out of the walls, and didn't worry too much about who was behind or what they did. As long as I didn't do any big mistakes, I knew that it would be quite difficult for them to pass. Miku he got a very good exit when he passed me late in the race, so I really didn't have a chance to fight him there. But other than that, it's a difficult track to overtake on, so just keep the nose clean, and it's difficult for those behind to do anything.
Well, you certainly kept the nose clean and came home with a solid finish here today. How happy are you with the 6th, and what are your goals for the final 2 races of the season?
I'm very happy. That's a good result, a little bit above my pace, I think, so that's good. And for the remaining races, I just want to not make too many mistakes, finish the races, and see what positions I can get from that. But finishing the race without major mistakes, that's the main goal.
All right, well, congratulations again, Laust, and on a solid top 10 here. We wish you the best of luck in the last 2 races.
Thank you very much.
One last interview to wrap up our broadcast here, and it is with Cam Porter, who finished in 16th. But Cam, you started 20th, and I've got to imagine starting in the middle of a field, a 36-car field on the street track, is pretty scary.
Yes, it is. I was trying to take it real easy on lap 1, and I had a lot of aggressive drivers trying to force some passes. So ultimately, they would have passed me anyway, because the cars that were ahead of me on track were at least a second, or about a second a lap faster than I was. It ended up being about 20 seconds down the road from me. So it was a pretty quiet race for me overall. I had Terry pressuring me for a lot of the race. Unfortunately, he fell back. He must have had some trouble, I guess. So successful race, like Laust. Just happy to bring home clean and with 0 incidents.
I was actually just checking out on my screen, 0 incident points, because you probably weren't too far away from the drama between Kyle Ridley and the 24 car on the opening lap. A couple of spins there in the middle of the field, so avoided all that. Did it ever calm down for you, or were you on top of a wheel all race?
Well, I was just trying to do consistent laps and stay off the walls. Just number 1 priority, stay off the walls. And like I said, I had Terry pressuring me for a significant portion of the race, but no one else close to me, so ultimately it was a pretty quiet race.
Well, how is a 16th place finish for you? Was that your goal, a top 15, a top 20, or are you just happy to make it to the end?
I was happy to make it to the end for sure. I wasn't sure how things were going to go. Unfortunately, I got wrecked out of the last race at Suzuka, and I just wanted to finish today, just have a good, safe race.
Well, you certainly did that. 2 more races left to go at Barcelona and Road America. How are you feeling about them?
I'm thrilled for both of those tracks. Enjoyed both of those tracks. Looking forward to it, especially Road America.
All right, well, congrats on making it to the finish, and we'll look forward to chatting with you again next week.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you then.
That was Cam Porter finishing 16th today, and finishing being the key word there. Well, it was an eventful race, I'll give it that much. Sebastian. Nacho Gaspar certainly dominated things up front, but for second and third, boy, they were switching around all race long.
yeah, for me it was also the first time doing commentary for the Lotus, so it was very nice to be here with you at the Grand Prix Legends Cup with you, Samuel. Thank you, and also with Chief O'Brien in the back. It was a pleasure. I really enjoyed this, and I maybe also will buy the car.
Yeah, I was. There were a couple of times during this broadcast that I was like, I wish I was out there on the track, but then I probably would have gone a lap down. Who knows? Well, we would like to thank all of the companies that provide the software and hardware that we use for our broadcasts, and there you can see them listed on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides us with our wonderful music, and you can check out her Bandcamp for more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Sebastian, Robert and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, you can check us out at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media channels, which you can see listed on your screen. Also, we have a merchandise store at gsrc.storemv.com, and a link is available in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so that you don't miss another second of exciting racing action. Our next race for the Grand Prix Legends will be the same time next week from Barcelona, and we also have upcoming races for other series listed on your screen, so be sure to check those out, mark them down in your calendar, and don't miss another second of exciting racing action. I already said that once. But until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you out there all on the track.